Hey everybody. Hey, first thing I want to let you know is I'm filming this episode in my basement, and I want you to know that because I can't seem to get the lighting right in here. I think I look weird. Maybe you're saying to yourself, no, Mr. C, that's just your face. But I can't seem to get it right. Also, the puppy is in the room right above us. So if there's loud thumping or barking or someone saying no, get down, that's what it is. Oh, I know there was a request from some people in Mod 6 for another puppy update. And yeah, he's right up there. But also, it's early on Sunday morning. Some of my family is up, and they're up there too. And if I go up there with a camera, with them still in pajamas and bedhead, I go up there with a camera. I'm like, hey, I'm just going to record some stuff to show high school students. I'm a dead man if I do that. I'm not going up there. I'm staying here where it's safe. Something else I'd like you to know, on Friday when we did our lesson on pathos, that was also the day that I had my one of my observations where one of the principals comes in and checks out what I'm doing. So Mr. Straley came down and he came in Mod 1 and he saw the video. And he too laughed at my Sarah McLachlan cover. But then apparently afterwards he was talking with Mr. Leonard about my videos, and Mr. Leonard had some very nice things to say about my videos. Thank you, Mr. Leonard. And he said, although it's unconventional, it's really working for students. And because Mr. Leonard knows that you can't just go saying something without providing some evidence, like we do in essays. He also relayed some real nice things that Stephen in Mod 1 said about this class, and he told Mr. Straley Stephen in Mod 1's current English grade, which is really good, by the way. And I just want to let you guys know, thank you. Hey, Stephen, thank you. I don't know if those nice things you said are going to directly transfer over into more points for my observation, but at the risk of sounding too rebellious, I'm not too concerned about whatever number that they give me. It's not something I focus on. You guys are what I focus on. Some of you have also said some very nice things, and I really do appreciate it. Also, when you guys laugh at the dumb jokes, when you submit work, that's good. All these things I really genuinely appreciate. It makes me feel like my efforts are doing what they're supposed to do. And what I'm hoping they're doing is not only giving you a good education, but maybe bringing a little joy to your school day. So thank you. Thank you very, very much. All right, let's get to what we're doing today in terms of English class. Today we're going to talk about logos. We already did ethos, we did pathos, and now it's time for logos. Now, do you remember a while ago when I gave you that list of words to define, and logos was one of them? I think maybe that was one of the ones that I should have given you, because some people gave me some definitions that they were not wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. I could see how... I could see exactly why you included them, but it wasn't the definition that I was going for, but they made sense in terms of the assignment. Although we're going to focus on the definition of logos as the use of facts and statistics to further one's arguments. I get that the word looks like logos as in a company's, kind of picturesque name type thing. Like here's one for FedEx. All right, this is their logo. You see the arrow in there? Isn't that cool? And here's the one for Tostino's tortilla chips, which I also think is a cool logo. Look, they're eating chips. So that was an understandable definition to include, but not exactly the one we're going to be working with today. Also, there were a couple people that found a definition that logos means, like in terms of a Christian religious text, it means the Word of God. I didn't even know that was a definition of that word. So, hey, I learned something. I think it's awesome when I learn something from students. This happens a lot of times in text analysis when we do a central idea and someone shows me a whole new way to look at a short story that I may have been teaching for years. It's such a cool experience when I also learn right back from you. Now, whether you're aware of it or not, logos is probably the method of persuasion that you have the most experience with. I've already seen you use plenty of it. You guys have been grabbing informational quotes from text to defend your arguments, your claims since middle school. I saw you do it super early this year when we did that hot dogs versus hamburger paragraph. So a lot of the basics about logos, I think really we're pretty familiar with, but there's some subtleties I want to get into today too. One of the things I want to let you know is that sometimes these methods of persuasion, ethos, logos, and pathos, sometimes they overlap a little bit. Like if you included the statistic, if you're going for logos and you included the statistic that 4 out of 5 dentists prefer a particular toothpaste, could you say, hey, well, that's logos. Look at that statistic, 4 out of 5 dentists. But you could also kind of make an argument that says, well, doesn't that also help ethos? Because, it's not just 4 out of 5 dudes who brush their teeth. It's 4 out of 5 dentists. So sometimes these things do overlap a little bit. It's one of the, I consider them wonderful gray areas of ELA. I can see how they can be frustrating at times too. One of the aspects of logo I really want to talk to you about is not just the facts and figures type thing, but the logic, all right? The logic. Let's think back to my telemarketing pitch, all right? I'm not going to take you through the whole thing again, but do you remember the part where I have the person on the phone, they write down the 4 major awards, and again, it was brand new Cadillac, Hawaiian vacation, diamond tennis bracelet, and then $2,000 cash, all right? Remember that part? Right. And then there's that really important part of the pitch where I say, now, if what happens today is you spend $700 on vitamins, you love the vitamins, you feel better, you tell your friends and family, and all you get is the last thing on that list. And you know what? Fact, the last thing on that list is the $2,000 cash. So people do the quick math in their head. They're like, I'm going to make $1,300, but they don't because they get the lousy tennis bracelet like everyone gets. That pitch relies on an understanding that those things are listed in order of most valuable to least valuable, okay? But it's a manipulation of logic. It is a false logic. If I wanted to completely wreck that pitch, I could point out that those things are not listed in order of most valuable to least valuable, and thus fixing that flawed logic, but that's not what is done sometimes in argumentative and persuasive language. Sometimes picking and choosing what information you put out there can have a profound impact on your reader's perception of what's happening. Let me show you what I'm talking about using some of the texts that we're using for our upcoming essay. Okay, first, this is from text 1, lines 13 through 15. Ready? There is a relative lack of research available examining the efforts of search engines on our brains, even as the technology is rapidly dominating our lives. Of the studies available, the answers are sometimes unclear. Now, that comes from text 1, and text 1 was written by a journalist named Zayun Tan, and Tan works for NPR, National Public Radio. All right, so we're going to keep that quote off to the side for a second, okay? Now I'm going to go to text 4. This is text 4, lines 30 through 35. One person who has studied the effects of technology on people is UCLA's Patricia Greenfield. Exposure to technology fundamentally changes the way people think, says Greenfield, who recently analyzed more than 50 studies on learning and technology, including research on multitasking and the use of computers, the internet, and video games. As reading for pleasure has declined and visual media have exploded, noticeable changes have resulted, she notes. I also want to include lines 40 and 41, again from text 4. Most visual media are real-time media that do not allow time for reflection, analysis, or imagination, she says. The upshot? Many people, particularly those who are younger, wind up not realizing their full intellectual potential. So let's say I'm going to be taking the stance that the internet does not have a negative impact on our feeling. Look what I can do. I can combine these three statements into the following. Patricia Greenfield claims that she has analyzed over 50 studies on learning and technology and that modern media may have a negative impact on thinking. But Zayun Tan of National Public Radio points out that there is a lack of available research, and of these studies, the answers are sometimes unclear. So perhaps Greenfield is a bit premature on her conclusions. Do you see what I did there? By choosing pieces of information, I kind of just discredited Patricia Greenfield. Very sorry about that, Ms. Greenfield. Please don't take it personally. I'm just trying to teach the kids. Now, and you know how earlier I said sometimes these things overlap a little bit? If you look at that statement again, notice how I don't mention that Patricia Greenfield is from UCLA, which is a respected institution. I don't mention that, but I do mention that that journalist works for National Public Radio, which is another respected institution. So by not mentioning Greenfield's credentials, I lower her ethos a little bit, and by mentioning Tan's credentials, I raise that one a little bit, thereby planting the seeds of emotional doubt in my reader, affecting the pathos. Words are powerful, you guys, and that's the reason we take English classes. I know you know how to speak English, I know, but this is what we do. We study how to tweak it to make it say exactly what we want. I also want to let you know that when we get to the actual essay, I'm going to be grading your essays. The rubric is not going to have ethos, pathos, and logos anywhere on it. It doesn't show up. But I don't want you to think that keeping those things in mind is a waste of your time. I think that keeping in mind ethos, pathos, and logos will help your score in some of the other categories of the rubric. One of those categories is going to be language use. I think if you focus a little bit on these methods of persuasion, ethos, pathos, and logos, I think you'll end up choosing more powerful words, thus upping the score in that language use column. Also, this stuff is going to be so useful when it comes to analysis. You're going to be grabbing quotes, and then you're going to be in charge of how your audience takes in those pieces of evidence. And that's what you do with analysis. Analysis is explaining how this relates to your argument. All right, so I guess that's probably about it for logos. Guess what? I got a celebration of knowledge, some people like to call it a quiz, waiting for you in Schoology. I hope the results have been as good as the ones in the past have been. And don't forget, if you make some mistakes and you're like, well, I don't know what I was thinking, let me know. We could always talk about that. You think I don't make mistakes? I make tons of mistakes. But I have editing. All right, you guys, you got stuff to do. Need help? Reach out. Problems? Reach out. You know where I work. Bye.